Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, moni wanji, namaste, jumbo, bienvenidos. Hi, my name is Jed Lee, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We are coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We are so delighted and so very honored that you join us in our mission to help all families grow closer through reading. Please be sure to tell all of your family and friends about the show. Please be sure to subscribe to the show on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Stitcher Radio, wherever you find your podcast. Hey, for all the authors that are listening out there, I wanted to share with you this great email that we received here at the Reading with Your Kids podcast from Dr. Linda Mubarak. She is a past guest and the author of Maxine's New Job. Here's the email. Dear Fatima and Jed, good news! Maxine's New Job has been nominated to receive the prestigious Henri Award at the 2018 Christian Literacy Awards for Outstanding Literacy Work in the Children's Book Division. I sincerely believe your certifying Maxine as a great read helped bring increased social media attention to the book. Thank you for the exposure and the great marketing. We are so happy for Dr. Linda Mubarak that her book, Reading with Your Kids Certified Great Read, Maxine's New Job, received this prestigious recognition. We would love to help your book receive that same kind of recognition. If you are interested in having your book considered for our Reading with Your Kids Certified Great Read program, please visit our website, readingwithyourkids.com. You can click on the contact button, send us a note, and we'll send all the information back to you, or you can go right to our Certified Great Read page on our website. It's fun, it's easy, and it is really an effective way to let the world know that your book stands out above all the rest. The Reading with Your Kids Certified Great Read program. Join us right now from the great state of Virginia. Our guest is returning to the show to celebrate her brand new picture book. It's called Otis the Trash Octopus. Please welcome back to the show, Gina Giordano. Hey, Gina, nice to see you. How are you?
I'm well, Dad. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I can't wait for you to tell us all about this trash-talking octopus.
Yeah, Otis is quite the character. He came as an inspiration to me from another school, actually, in Virginia Beach. The gifted resource teacher there has an Eco Heroes Club, and she's been doing that for, probably 12, 15 years, I think. And she does a lot of trash cleanups. And about 10 years ago, they actually did cleanups up and down the coastline of Virginia, and they created a trash sculpture, and it happened to be an octopus. And they named it Otis after Otis Redding sitting on the dock of the bay. And so last year, right around Earth Day, she had tweeted something out about Otis the Trash Octopus. And she's a friend of mine. And so I texted her and I was like, hey, I think I would like to write a book about Otis and helping the environment and the oceans and stuff like that. She said, go for it. And so that was the inspiration behind the book.
Very cool. I love that. And I love when we get inspired by things that are happening in schools. I don't think people really understand that there's a lot of creativity and some great ideas that are happening in schools all around the country, all around the world. And there's so many schools out there, so much inspiration.
Yeah, absolutely. These kids who, are with her in her Eco Heroes Club, they do so much. I mean, she's got this amazing garden too in the back of the school that they do all summer long. They do, what they call weeding and watering Wednesdays, and the kids show up with their parents and they bring home, they harvest the food out of the garden too and bring it home and use it in in the house and things like that. It's fantastic what she does. And there's been other schools that have emulated what she's done in the school division. She's very inspirational.
Yeah, so neat, so neat. So tell us a little bit what's going to happen in the story that you created from this inspiration.
So Otis is a very interesting character. So in the beginning of the story, three children are out sailing with their parents out on the ocean, and they happen to see something floating out in the distance, and they're not quite sure what it is, but they're curious, and so they go over, and what they find is a floating island of trash, and they wonder, why is this there? And out of this island of trash comes Otis the Trash Talking Octopus, and he and his friends Timmy the Turtle and Lucky the Lobster tell the children where the trash comes from, what happens to them and the creatures that live in the ocean because of the negligence of humans, and the implications that the trash has on them and the ecosystem in the ocean. And then they also have a conversation about what can happen, what can we do to fix this problem. And the children are inspired by what they see and what they hear to go back and make a change. And at the end of the story, I challenge everybody that reads the book, what can you do in your local community? And I've created a Take the Otis challenge in order to help, children and their families try to inspire them to make any small change in the community. It doesn't it doesn't have to be, something as big as, what my friend has done in her school. It can be going in, along the neighborhood streets and picking up trash. It can be, trying to do something within their home. Maybe, they don't recycle enough, or maybe they, don't recycle at all, or maybe repurposing things that they never thought of before, taking old t-shirts and turning them into a blanket. I know that's a big thing now. And just, coming up with something creative to help, prevent what we see out on the beaches, out in the streets, out in the communities that end up washing out into the oceans.
Really, really important. One of the things I love about your writing is that it's really positive. It could have been very easy to write Otis the Trash Talking Octopus and have just Otis trash talk the humans about, look at this terrible thing that you've done. But you've taken that and you've really turned it into an inspiring message, letting us know that, hey, there is this problem, but we can fix it. And even you, little person who's having this book read to you, you can do something right now, right today in your community. And I think that that's incredibly inspiring.
Oh, thank you. Well, as an educator for 25 years, I find it important to teach children that, just because you're a little person doesn't mean that you can't do something. And I feel that using literature to inspire and teach children is extremely important. I mean, that's their first glimpse into the outside world, is through literature. And when we are able to introduce them to those concepts through literature, it's helpful when they can understand a message through a fun and exciting and, colorful way. The illustrator, Itziar Hazas, she really captured my vision of what I wanted Otis to look like, and all of the characters and everything surrounding the whole storyline. And it's very colorful. It's very captivating to young readers. And I think that they'll really enjoy the whole experience.
Where do you find your inspiration? As I said, you wrote Yet, and we talked about Yet here on the podcast.
Yes.
and you always do. You are filled with this really positive outlook on life. You're very, very, very realistic. The world's not a perfect place, but you have this positivity about you. Where does that come from?
A lot of it comes from, I think, just having learned a lot through life experience, my faith. A lot of it comes from seeing a lot of things within the education field and experiencing different. I think seeing a lot of things change throughout the 25 years of my career. When I started, things were completely different, and then we had the pandemic, and now things are completely different again. And we've had to, I hate that term, but pivot a lot. And we've had to recreate a lot of things. And if you dwell on the negative, it doesn't get any better. And so for me, I have to really embrace the change. And if I don't embrace the change, I'm just going to be stagnant. And I hate being stagnant. Mm-hmm. I like to, I'm a very creative person in my brain. And if I remain in that quagmire, my brain doesn't like it. Mm-hmm. So I think that's where a lot of the positivity comes from.
Well, let's talk a little bit. We've talked here on the podcast a lot of the issues and the challenges and the problems in education, and but I don't think in talking about the changes we've kind of celebrated. What are some of the good changes and some of the positive changes that you've experienced in your years as a teacher?
I think that kids are more resilient now. They've learned to adapt a little bit better. They've had to. We've had to as well as adults, because we were thrown into a situation where it's only going to be 2 weeks, and now it's going to be a month, and now now it's 6 months, and we had to. It was trial by fire for educators. We didn't know what we were doing. We had, some of us didn't even know how to teach virtually. Thank goodness I was in a school division where every student had a device, but some school divisions didn't have that, and they were really scrambling, whereas we had something, so we really were very fortunate, but we were learning along the way as well. And it was, so that was it going through it. It was very difficult, but looking back on it, it's been a blessing, because now we can say, I did it, I learned from it, and I've grown from it as well. So I think that that's one of the positive things. We got through it, mm-hmm. first and foremost, right? And the kids, it was difficult for them. I think that, socially, they took a couple of steps backwards, but in the year and a half that we've been back, we've had to readjust the way that they learn. And they want to be more engaged now. They don't want to sit and get. I was just talking to my principal about this yesterday. They want to be engaged. They want to be involved. They want to be. They want to do, right? They're so used to doing things, playing their games, being interactive on a screen, where we need to be a little bit more interactive with them. And so we have to change the way that we think about teaching as well.
Yeah. So it sounds like the days of the kids lining up in a row and just listening to the teacher for 8 hours, those days are gone.
Yeah, completely gone.
So do you think that the resiliency that you're noticing, because one of the things we talked about since the podcast began back in 2017 is that there had been a tendency for a lot of parents to try to bubble wrap their kids and prevent them from experiencing any bumps or scrapes. It sounds like you're thinking that the pandemic and, how we had to deal with the pandemic and deal with all these changes that were happening has kind of brought some of that resiliency back to kids, that they're a little bit stronger than they were before the pandemic happened.
Well, I think that parents still have a tendency to want to bubble wrap their kids,
Mm-hmm.
but that's just being a parent. We want to be able to protect them. That's our innate nature. We don't want anything bad to happen to our children, but at the same time, we also want them to be able to grow, to be able to be problem solvers as adults. We don't want them to be reliant on us, for the rest of their lives. We want them to grow up to be, contributing, successful, members of society. And, I think that the pandemic helped in some ways and it hurt in some ways. Socially, it hurt a little bit because they were, especially for the really little ones, they didn't know how to interact with other kids because they were, when you go to kindergarten, you learn how to do school, right? Mm-hmm. And, so when they spent kindergarten at home, it was difficult. So now they're in first grade and they're learning how to do school. So they're a year behind socially. But with that being said, we've also been able to, I think, socially catch them up because we've been able to teach them. We've focused a lot on teaching them how to do school. Mm-hmm. And academically, I think that we've done a really good job of catching them up academically as well.
Very good. Very good. Hey, what's next for Gina Giordano? I mentioned, Yes was your first book, and Otis the Trash Talking Octopus is out now in the world. What else is going to be coming from your very imaginative mind?
Well, there are quite a few manuscripts floating around out there. I'm trying to publish traditionally now. Yet and Otis the Trash Talking Octopus were self-published. And right now I've got a few on submission out to publishers. I've got some things up my sleeve, I guess, and it's just hopefully the stars will align and the planets will all be in sync, all of that good stuff, and something good will happen. But in the meantime, I still write, and Otis is coming out next week, and so, I'm focusing on making sure that that's a good launch, and, I've been pumping that up pretty well, and went out to California and did some pre-launch stuff out there, and that was a lot of fun.
Wonderful.
For Otis. Yeah, had a good time with that.
Excellent. Hey, Gina, where can we go to find out more about Otis and find out more about you?
So my website, GinaGiordanoAuthor.com, is where you can go to find out about both books and about me, and there's all kinds of goodies on there. If you want to purchase both of my books, they are both available on Amazon.com. And Otis is available on Barnes & Noble as well. And, those are the goodies that you can find out.
We've had a great time speaking to the author of Otis, the Trash Talking Octopus. Our guest has been the author, our friend, Gina Giordano. Hey, Gina, thanks so much for being back with us.
Thanks, Jed. I appreciate it.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast and will join us for the next exciting episode. If you want to make sure you don't miss a second of the show, please be sure to subscribe to the show on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, wherever you get your podcasts. And also be sure to visit readingwithyourkids.com and download your copy of the Reading With Your Kids online magazine. It's free. It's available at readingwithyourkids.com. Just click on our blog. Before we go, I want to make sure that I give a big thank you to my team: Fatima Khan, Rory Grady, Madison Dairies, Soji Franklin, Monica Rivera Sosa, Ann O'Leary. I want to give a big thank you to my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me, and most of all, we all want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today, and as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.